There is an interesting phenomenon happening uh, these days. When I say these days, I mean really in the past, especially in the past 20 or so years, where people that have access to men, basically Western men, who have access to travel abroad and are exposed to women in the certain parts of the world. By certain parts of the world, I mean South America, even some countries in Central America, southern Central America, maybe Panama and Colombia and Costa Rica, but also, of course, Eastern Europe, Asia. They can't help but to compare these women that they see with the ones that are in the West, in their home country. By home country, I mean specifically United States, Canada, and Western Europe. And Western Europe is still in a lot better shape than America in many ways, and as far as annoying women. That has a lot to do with divorce laws and economics, of course. That's 90% of the reason. But the phenomenon that's happening is that these men go and once they've been beaten up and battered by feminists in the West, women that are basically have a personality of a man in a woman's body, that they so have been brainwashed by the feminists that they have forgotten completely how to behave and be, act, smell like a woman. They basically act like a man that looks like a woman. And that is just so off-putting and not appealing to men. And that slaps them in the face, wakes them up. When they go to these countries that I've mentioned, women are not like that, and women are feminine, women play the woman's role, women are dressing like women, they're acting like women, they're I don't want to say subservient, but they are accommodating, and they know their place. And I don't mean that in a demeaning way, that they have to obey the man, not at all. But they know their place in terms of knowing knowing what to leave to the man and knowing what to leave to the woman. There has to be a difference in the way they behave, and so they see these men, and they compare it to the woman back home, and they're going, why on earth would I have to put up with these hard, difficult, demanding women that are so hard to please, and they're looking for something that I'm nowhere near having. And even if I had those things, why would I want to put up with a woman like that? Okay, you've got a woman that has a career and she has a job or whatever. She's probably divorced some couple of guys, and she's got a house and a big bank account and whatever. She doesn't need you financially, and she has such an inflated balloon of an opinion of herself that even if you were in a position, that had the option to have any woman you want, you had the finances and you had your home and you had whatever you need financially. I mean, they sit down and ask themselves, now that I have the options, why on earth would I want to put up with these women? Why would I want to work that hard to please basically a bitch? When they go overseas and they see that, first of all, you don't have to have that kind of money to please these women. They don't require those levels of income. And even if you did, that's all the better. But basically, for someone who can provide a decent roof over his head and has money for living and meals and everything, he can have his pick of the litter in these countries. When I say these countries, I mean South America, Central America, Asia, and Eastern Europe. Thank God, most of the world, basically. So you realize, then you ask yourself a question: why would I want to put up with this? The problem is some men that have been in horrific marriages and as I said, battered and beaten up by these women. Well, they go to these poorer countries in Asia and even South America, and these women are fawning over them, women that are 20, 30, 40 years younger, and suddenly, unfortunately, they let that go to their head, and some of them go as far as marrying these women, either buying a home for them and buying their sob story that their mother is sick and their cow is sick and they need money, buying a home over there in their own country, or some commit economic suicide by bringing these women back to their own Western country, where she has all the benefits and legal rights that made these women in the West undesirable to begin with, and that spells disaster for them. So if there is an advice to be given in the middle of this video to these men, if you go to those countries, enjoy these women, even if you want to marry them, which I strongly advise you against. But if you're into that and you want to, you're hell-bent on marrying them, keep them in their own country, because they're on their best behavior when they're there, because they know that you have 1,000,001 options and you have your pick up the litter. Whereas when you bring them back to your own country, then all bets are off. So, but the best way to deal with this is go over there, enjoy them over there. If you're into staying with one, with one. If you're into being a butterfly and changing them when they start acting up, do that. But for the love of God, do not get financially involved with any woman. Do not commingle assets. Do not buy anything of value together. Do not fall for the sob stories that they need money. You are not going to save them. After all, these women you meet, when you go over there for fun, most likely you're going to run into opportunistic women that have left the villages and come to the big cities for the purpose of making money. They have the choice, don't kid yourself, they have the choice of working in a restaurant, working in a hospital, working in an office. But if they're working in bars and stuff and, selling their time, if you know what I mean, believe me, those are not the kind of women that you want to get involved with anything more than 45 minutes. These, no matter what they tell you, no matter how much they boost your ego, stroke your ego and tell you you're handsome and they love you and they really don't want to be doing this, but they have to support their family, those are all BS. They could be doing other things. They could be doing waitress jobs. They could be doing office jobs. They could work drive in a taxi or whatever else. They don't have to be in bars selling themselves for money. So, if there's an advice to be given in the middle of this video, go over there in these countries and enjoy them, and even have a girlfriend, whatever, but do not get in financially and much worse emotionally involved with these women. You're not going to get anywhere with that. But the bigger point of this video was the fact that these men that are exposed to these much nicer, more feminine, more desirable, more enjoyable women in these other countries ask themselves, why would I put up with these women in the West? And that's why there are plethora of women in the West that are either divorced or permanently single. Nobody wants them. Nobody wants to take them because they have this attitude, regardless of how old they are, how they look, how many times they're divorced, how many children they have. They have this attitude that they are this desirable 19-year-old, 115-pound women that all the men are dying over, unfortunately. It's as though they do not own a mirror or someone who has the guts to tell them exactly how it is, how they are, and what their actual expectations should be. So I hope this has been helpful. I hope this has been eye-opening. I hope some of you that have experienced this can relate to this. And hey, travel abroad, enjoy life. We all have a very short time on this earth, very much shorter than we think. And you owe it to yourself to enjoy your life. You've worked hard, you've earned a living, you owe it to yourself to enjoy yourself and enjoy this little time you have on this earth. God bless.